Cannoneer. Let's now go to the co-main event of this UFC Fight Night. In the lightweight division, Arman Tsarukyan defeats Joaquim Silva by TKO in the third round. Mark, staying with you, give us your take of this performance by the rising lightweight star, Arman Tsarukyan.
No surprise to anybody, Arman Tsarukyan is really good. Round one was just complete dominance from him in the grappling department. I'm sure the goal was to wear Silva down and tire him out. But then round two, we saw Arman exchanging on the feet for an extended period of time, and it was enough time for him to get caught, which is definitely something that I'm sure other lightweight contenders like a Chandler or a Poirier or a Gaethje or a Fiziev are seeing and thinking, you know what, I could do that. I could catch him the way Joaquim Silva just caught him, because Silva caught him pretty damn good. Like, Tsarukyan was ice skating there for a minute, so it's maybe a little something that we've seen, a chink in the armor. But I think what happened next was just as much of a positive as that chink was a potential negative, which is that he gathered himself and he poured it on Joaquim Silva to make sure that he got him out of there and still managed to make a violent statement to the division. And that round three was just an absolute clinic and a beating, and a great way for him to kind of bounce back from that rough 10 seconds and still get a huge finish and make his statement.
Omar, give us your take of Arman Tsarukyan shining in that third round and ultimately getting the finish over a very strong and very tough guy in Joaquim Silva.
Yeah, I think it was good for him to go through adversity. This is one of those moments that I think at some point, just like you said, Mark, somebody probably would have been able to find that hole. Would you have preferred for that hole to have been found when gold was on the line or during your road potentially to gold, right? And I think for Tsarukyan, I'm glad that this happened early, and I am glad that we learned that he can fight through the fire, that he can compose himself, that he didn't panic, right? That he didn't just shell up and want out of the fight, that we really saw him push through those moments. And that's championship shit right there, that he's going to need that when he fights somebody like an Islam, right? Or somebody crazy. So I was really impressed by the performance. Joaquim Silva, unfortunately doesn't have the greatest resume in the world, but is still very much a problem and a very, very talented guy. So for him to kind of come back from that, end the fight the way that he did on top, beating him to hell, it was a great performance from Tsarukyan, man. I couldn't have been happier with the way that went down. That was really good to see.
Okay, let's talk now about what is next for this rising lightweight star, Arman Tsarukyan. Omar, what do you see as being next for him at 155 pounds in the UFC?
I think what makes Tsarukyan a very interesting prospect is the wrestling. The wrestling from him is one of those things that lightweight has a lot of, I think, or has a good amount of, but there's obviously these levels to it. And Islam right now stands at the heap. Then you've got guys like Beneil Dariush. You've got Charles Oliveira with the BJJ that essentially tells wrestling to go to hell. You've got Dustin Poirier's wrestling. You've got Michael Chandler's wrestling. You've got Gamrot's fucking flippity-flop wrestling. You got all these crazy guys with all these different types of ground games. But Arman Tsarukyan is the one that looks like he has a very similar style to Islam, in which control comes first, right? There's a lot body locks, a lot of takedowns, a lot of control, and a lot of not giving that control back. So it makes these kind of fights very interesting, and I want to send him up the ladder more than I think even Mark might, to be honest. But I kind of want to see him fight the loser of Poirier and Gaethje. It's kind of where I'm at.
Mark?
I mean, it's totally fair. It's not where I'm going, only because I want that to be Dariush that gets that chance against a big name. Mm-hmm. But it's completely reasonable to say it should be Arman. I will say that he mentioned this, which is this possibility of Chandler and Conor not happening.
Yeah.
And if it's not, I could absolutely see Arman be the one who ends up across from Michael Chandler. if that does not play out, then I mean, again, could Arman get the loser of Gaethje Poirier, or could he get Beneil right now? He absolutely could, but I feel like my guess is the loser will fight Beneil. In which case, Arman may have to settle if there's no Chandler fight. Not settle a lot, but settle for like a Fiziev. So my guess is Chandler or Fiziev.
Okay. You guys want to say anything about Mr. Joaquim Silva before we quickly move on?
Yeah, good punch.
That was it.
Okay. Let's lightning round the rest of these fights on this UFC Fight Night card. If you don't know, our lightning round is where I challenge Mark and Omar to give me their quickest, lightningest takes. And the fact that it is